a suit. Drink water. Don't drink and drive.
Game over!
Take it light. Okay?
Now you're more fluent.
Mackinac, he got free!
Up, Bears.
So this is really good right here. Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right. Welcome to the All-American Hoops Podcast, episode 26. As per usual, I'm joined by my older brother, John Driscoll.
AH, thanks for having me on, man.
And my younger brother, Matt Driscoll.
Chris, always a pleasure. Today I'm debuting your birthday gift to me, the new mic. I see John has one, and I see Chris, you have one. So maybe on Matt's birthday we can get him one as well.
I took mine away so Matt McCann wouldn't feel left out. You know,
Awesome.
I'm with you here, Matt.
Yeah, it's definitely a great perk to have, but definitely not 100% necessary. But speaking of Matt's, I won't even call Matt a guest because even though this is only a second time on the pod, I probably had more conversations with him the past couple of years about basketball than anyone. So joining us is our family friend, Matt McCann.
Thank you, AAH. Thank you, AAH fam. I'm here to prove today that you do not need a mic to know ball. So let's get into it.
You definitely do not. Yeah, you don't need. Yeah, definitely don't need proof of that. Given the quality of podcasts that I've heard, not even just the content, but the amount of background stuff that I've heard, you definitely don't need a good sets to do a good pod. So, we have an awesome show ahead of us. Probably the most I've looked forward to one in a while. First of all, obviously, it's going to be great to talk about our Boston Celtics in the finals. But most importantly, I was looking forward to it mainly because we just haven't talked about basketball we haven't watched basketball in like 9 days. So it's very, very exciting that the finals are in 2 days, and it's going to be our Boston Celtics playing in it for the second time in 3 years. So we're looking forward to breaking that down and giving our predictions. And lastly, after we give our very biased breakdown of the NBA Finals, we will be doing a draft of the all-time NBA playoff performers. We'll dive into the details of that when we get closer to it. But for now, we are going to do, as I mentioned, an analysis of the NBA Finals. So the Western Conference fifth seeded Mavericks will be taking on the Eastern Conference first seeded Celtics. There is so much to think about for the series. People look at the records and maybe they'll think, the Celtics won so many more games this year. It should be an easy win for them. Or people look at it on another side and say, the Mavs have the best player in the series, and they also have one of the other best scorers of the series. They should win. But obviously, if you're going to watch the show with more nuance, watch the game with more nuance. The show, look, we got you covered. We're gonna take as deep a dive into the series as we can, and just talk about how each team should win and what will happen for the team to win. So, Matt McCann, do you want to start off by talking about the finals in general, and maybe just talk about what the Celtics need to do in order to win the NBA Finals?
Yeah, totally. I think you said something really good. It's like you could either look at it with like a regular season bias, kind of look at the Celtics just took care of business throughout all of the regular season into the postseason. Or you can look at it as the Mavs are hot right now. They've been hot since the trade deadline, made some big moves. So, I mean, I think it's going to turn into a really big matchup. I don't know if you want to get into it right now, but I have a couple strategies for both teams. I can just get started. So
100%.
For the Mavs, I think one of their key things is they're going to have to try and quell Tatum with something, because he's one of the few guys that started off slow and is getting hot, whereas a lot of the other Celtics have kind of been sort of staying even keel and being great. Jaylen Brown's been super consistent. Derek White's been pretty consistent besides a few off nights. But Tatum's really starting to get into his groove. So I think you want to double him at half court. You look at some of the other series that he really hasn't played well in, and it's the Heat series, both conference finals, even this year a little bit, and you look at even the Warriors a little bit. They doubled him early and often, made him make the right play, made him get uncomfortable, got him away from his spots. So I think that's really the key. And then on offense, you got to just run it through Luka and Kyrie. They've been the bread and butter. Everything should run through their pick and roll. Get the bigs involved and just make sure you can get after maybe a hobbled Porzingis. We'll see how he ends up playing, but I don't know. I think that's a really good strategy, like to start off at least entering game one. And then for the Celtics, I think it's very clear you have to target Luka on defense. He's the weak link of a very strong and long defensive team. Whoa. And so you just want to make sure that like he gets tired on the defensive end. You make him work as hard as possible, whether it be with your ball handlers or with your wings, whoever you want attacking him. You just want to make sure he's involved in the defense, and you want to make sure everyone's having to switch off if necessary, just to tire him out. And then you just want to stick to your game plan. You shoot threes, you make threes, do that. Control the pace, because I got a stat here. In the half court, the Celtics are +8 in offensive rating to the Mavericks relatively, whereas in transition offense, they're -24 in offensive rating in the playoffs so far this year. Mavs have a ridiculous 136 offensive rating in transition. So control the pace, make sure they can't get out, have shooters go back, and just control the tempo. And I think it's a pretty clear path to a 5 or 6 game series win.
Yeah, Matt, you made some great points there. That's why we have you on. You come in with the stats and the facts. Just great to hear. I think the main point was you talked about the Mavs transition offense. I didn't realize how unbelievable their transition offense has been in the playoffs, and even realistically all year, but even more so after the trade deadline. Would you say their offensive rating was 136 this playoffs in transition? Yeah, it's just insane. They've played very good defenses too in the Thunder. The Thunder, I think, probably did the best job on Kyrie and Luka. I think Kyrie averaged like somewhere in the teens. I think it was like 15, and Luka averaged 24 that series. So maybe the Celtics modeling their defensive schemes after the Thunder. Thing is, like, you could say like get the ball out of Luka's hands, but realistically that's just not going to happen. He has the ball for like 40% of the game. So you just have to try to limit him as best as you can. I don't know how possible that is, but another way to beat them is I saw a couple tweets about how the Mavs are daring teams to make the skip pass to the corner. I think the Celtics will feast on that if they allow the Celtics to do that. They have the best corner 3 shooter in the league in Drew Holiday. He shot over 60% from the corner this year. But realistically, slow the pace down, make Luka play defense, tire him out, target him early, tire him out so he's tired by the fourth quarter. People are acting like Luka's like this elite defender now. I don't understand it. The games I've watched, he has not impressed me on the defensive end. Everyone else has. The Mavericks defense does scare me, but Luka himself does not defensively. So target him, and I would have the Celtics in 6 games.
Yeah, you guys made all great points. Everything I really agreed with. I think that was one of the things I wanted to come in and talk about the most was the Mavericks transition offense. I saw a graphic today. Like you mentioned, it was 136, 137 offensive rating. It's absolutely bizarre. And I think that the Celtics have been so talented over the years that a lot of the times when they lose, you almost feel like they've beaten themselves. And that's not to take away from the teams that have beaten them. It's just a lot of mental mistakes or just like, shooting yourself in the foot. And I think that's going to be magnified a lot in this series, especially with the team as good in transition as the Dallas Mavericks. If you don't turn the ball over against the Dallas Mavericks, they're not going to be there. I don't see an avenue for the Mavericks to beat the Celtics if the Celtics take care of the ball. If you're not giving up, 15, 20 turnovers a game, let's say. I think there was a stat in that 2022 finals run where if they turned the ball over less than 15 or 20 times a game, they won nearly every game. And that's going to be magnified this series. I think if they don't turn the ball over, they limit those transition points from Dallas, they're going to put themselves in a really good spot to win. I'm going to pick the Celtics in 6, and that's not really to take away anything from the Mavericks. I think I picked against the Mavericks 3 times this playoff series. And then in the same breath, I'll probably tell somebody that they've had a weak path to the playoffs. I'll say that it was a Kawhi-less Clippers or maybe OKC, but at the end of the day, they've had a very impressive run. They came out of a Western Conference that was very, very strong. And I think as much as you want to say Luka and Kyrie have been the two-headed monster they've gotten really great performances from their role players, PJ Washington, Derek Lively. Those are guys that are going to have to step up in order to compete with a pretty talent-heavy Celtics team. That all being said, Celtics in 6, it's their series to lose.
Great stuff, boys. So yeah, you touched on a lot of the stuff that I wanted to talk about. So I know that McCann talked about targeting Luka on defense. I think that's going to pay off more later in the series. I think it's something that you do earlier in the series and then continue to do, unless he really is getting after it and it's starting to affect your offense. If you're just doing good with him while targeting him, like good, not great, I would say keep at it. And then towards the end of the games, especially towards the end, towards later in the series, I think it's going to pay off. And that's not even just because Luka is a below average defender. It's also just because it's human nature. The same thing happened to Steph in 2016, which the Cavs did that to him. As far as it goes for other stuff, obviously they have additional Porzingis is going to be huge. Because shout out Al Horford, he played the starting center role phenomenally for someone who just turned 38. Happy birthday, by the way, Al.
Yeah, happy belated.
Happy belated.
Happy belated. So, but just the fact that, and shout out Luke Cornett, he's another one who has been awesome this season as the third center. He'll probably get he'll definitely get less than 10 minutes a game, maybe even closer to 5-ish, maybe, especially if Porzingis is able to stay healthy. But yeah, the reality is Cornette isn't really someone that can stretch the floor at all. He can't really shoot outside the really outside the rim. Pretty good free throw shooter, but the fact that the Celtics will be able to stretch the floor, they can go 5 out at times. It's going to force Gafford and Lively to run a little bit more. And then obviously give Tatum, Brown, D. White more space to drive. So that's going to be huge. So yeah, it's something that we've talked about all playoffs long. And something that Matt Driscoll has said more specifically all year long. Actually, it's just that Porzingis is going to be the X factor of the series. If he's healthy, they should win. I don't want to say any. I don't really want to give any jinxes, but if they do their, like what John said, if they do what they need to do, they should win the series. Obviously, Tatum and Brown are going to have to remain consistent. I 100% believe in them. The four of us have probably been the biggest fans of both of them since they've been drafted. But obviously, I think that's it's not his legacy on the line, but I think his respect for a good amount, for at least for the offseason time being, is on the line. Because I don't think he will, but if he lays a goose egg like he does in 2022, it's going to be I'm going to do it. I'm going to be first in line to defend him every single time, but it's going to be really hard to though. But for the Mavs, it is going to take a lot. The Mavs are going to have to do a lot of the little things. Not even just a lot. They're going to have to do all the little things in order to beat the Celtics. So Luka and Kyrie are both going to have to play up to their standard. Obviously, Luka's going to have to average nearly a 30-point triple-double. Kyrie's going to have to average 20, maybe 23, 24, 25-ish on great efficiency while also playmaking pretty well. And obviously, Gafford and Lively are just going to have to try to take advantage of a potentially hobbled Porzingis and just bully the Celtics on the boards. But I don't think that's Tatum is I think Tatum is one of the better rebounding forwards in the league. So hopefully he continues on with that. And then obviously it's going to take the Celtics getting cold from three. That's when they lose. It's not even when they get cold from three. It's that when they become an awful 3-point shooting team. So it's that, and then it's also them getting lazy on closeouts, which obviously we don't want to see. And the number one complaint all year long for the Celtics has been when they miss their shots, it feels like the ball stops moving all around, which is the complete opposite of what should happen. So it's the finals. They're locked in. I think they have to remain locked in. If they do that, they should win the series. And for my prediction, finally, today is June 4th. June 18th is officially 2 weeks from now, and I believe that we will be drinking champagne on this podcast, celebrating from the night before the Celtics winning the NBA Finals in 5 games. That is my prediction. So, so it sounds like everyone else had it in 6. I think Matt McCann said 5 or 6. So, Matt, do you want to give an official one there?
I mean, honestly, if they are able to stay hot, it's such a small sample size when you really look at playoff losses and the recipe to beat this team, both being, like you said, poor shooting nights, but not just that, the other team being just absolutely unconscious from 3 in both games. even you see some of those games in the Pacers series where some role players stepped up and were playing way above their pay grade, and the Celtics still found a way to win. It's really difficult to beat this team, and I think they found a very good formula to not lose those games anymore. So I'm going on the lighter end. I'm going on 5. I think Dallas obviously takes 1. I mean, they're just way too good of a team. I think what they did in the at the trade deadline to get guys like Gafford and blanking Washington on the 2 worst teams in the East. They were able to grab those 2 guys who were just rotting there and completely turn around their careers. They've both been at an awesome level. I did have a few more points that I forgot to bring up for strategy. The one thing, Celtics need to switch on the pick and rolls that Luka and Kyrie are going to be in, because when you look at their starting lineup, at least, not when guys like Pritchard or Hauser come in, but if you just look at the 4 guys that aren't Kristaps Porzingis, you would rather have them guarding Luka, Kyrie, even like a Josh Green or a Jaden Hardy. You want those. You do not want Porzingis, especially on a bad calf, to have to deal with that. So I saw what they did in the one game that Kristaps played Dallas is they would switch before the pick even came. So Kristaps would be on Gafford, or at the time Kristaps was on Lively, and they switched him to Washington and had Drew go up to immediately be a hedge guy because it was just better. So then it just completely blew up the play. Now you got 10 seconds to reset. It's a better formula than trying to have a Rudy Gobert situation where you got Kristaps out at the top of the key trying to not look like a ballet dancer as Luka cooks. So
yeah, I'm excited to see our reactions if Porzingis is in drop coverage against Luka or Kyrie all series. Living room will not be excited
on this podcast.
Offensively, it's a struggle sometimes, but I do believe in Joe Mazzulla as a coach to adjust defensively. I think he did phenomenally against Miami, which I know Miami is a significantly weaker team than Dallas. I think he did a great job against Miami adjusting to their 3-point shooting. He did a pretty good job against Cleveland too. And then outside of game 1, I think he did a pretty solid job making adjustments in game 3 as well. So obviously, I think Jason Kidd is probably when Spoelstra was the best coach, but I think Jason Kidd is probably the best coach that they've faced for teams like that are probably like on a more level playing field. But I do believe in Joe Mazzulla to make the proper adjustments that are needed. All right, are we ready for the next segment? Yeah, we all gave our picks. So this is one of the, I think we've done 3 drafts. I want to say we did the All-Star draft, we did the 90s draft, and then John and I did the conference finals draft. So we had another historical draft here. So I'm very, very excited for that. So just to give the rule, like John, Matt, and Matt already know the rules, but I just want to explain them one more time for both them and the viewers. So this is a snake draft. So it basically goes. So Matt McCann will be drafting first. So he'll pick. Say he'll pick LeBron James first, and then after that it'll go John, then me, and then Matt Driscoll. Then since it's a snake, Matt Driscoll will go 5th. Then I will go 6th. John 7th. Matt McCann 8th. So that's it. So what are we drafting? We are drafting the all-time greats finals performances. So this is strictly based on how a player played in the finals, and we are picking 1 year from those finals. So, for example, I give the example for Matt. If Matt decided to pick LeBron 2013 with his first overall pick, John could not pick LeBron in 2018 with the second overall pick. None of us could pick LeBron with any other pick. So, in shorts, it's based on solely NBA Finals performances individually, and you can only pick one, and only one person can pick one player throughout the entire draft. Does anyone have any questions? Yeah, I think we established that pretty well. But we're not going to set a timer on the board. We don't want to put too much pressure on anyone. But Matt, if you would like to get started with your pick, you can go right ahead.
I had like 5 days to decide on mine, so I had plenty of a timer. I will be going with 1993 Michael Jordan. Just a few notes about Michael Jordan. PRA, 41 points, 8.5 rebounds, 6.5 assists, 2 steals and a block. He had 4 games in this series over 40 points, including a 55-point game in game 4. This was Michael Jordan at the peak of his powers. I mean, 6-0 for a reason. He was great in every series, but this was when he was just absolutely on a different level. They were calling him Black Jesus. I mean, like he was just doing things that no one else had ever seen and has ever seen. That's the highest points per game in a finals win, I believe, in NBA history. So pretty clear first choice. But
Yeah, I'm happy that I give you 5 days to decide that pick. Yeah, that would have been pretty tough for you to if I put you on the spot like that.
So I've had a couple days to decide, and I've kind of tried to do some mind reading with Matt McCann over the past couple days. I wasn't sure which direction he was going to go in. I figured he knew ball. He was going to go with 93 Jordan. This was tough for me. I think I could go in a number of different directions. It's also tough sometimes when you're looking at final stats and finals appearances. Like some guys had, you could argue, better numbers or better like performances, but they lost. So it's like, how
Absolutely.
valuable do you really put that? I think you still should put a ton of value on it, but maybe not as much as a win. But with the second overall pick, I'm going to go with 2000 Shaquille O'Neal. Tough choice because there was a lot of good options out there, but just to rattle off stats, I think Dad's been talking about this Shaquille O'Neal performance since we could watch basketball with him. But I think it was like 38 points, nearly 17 rebounds, 2.5 blocks, but just utter domination on all ends. It was truly an amazing series. And I know we're just talking finals appearance. He became the third player, I believe, at the time to win finals MVP, season MVP, and all-star game MVP. Not that matters for our discussion, but a little tidbit.
Not gonna lie, I'm surprised. Yeah, I don't think you were gonna go with that pick, but obviously, I really think that Shaq does have an argument to be if we're ranking the best players of all time, I don't think he has a case to be in the top 3. But that being said, if we're talking strictly peak of their powers, like 1 year, I think you can argue that 2000 Shaq was the best player of all time, including Jordan. That's just my opinion. But I think that you could scheme easier for Jordan than you can Shaq, especially in that day. Maybe today's day would be different, but definitely one of the more dominant peaks of all time. So that leads me to my my first pick and the third overall pick. And I figured that these 3 guys would be the top 3 picks. So I'm going to go with 2016 LeBron James. I do not think that LeBron in 2016 is the best LeBron that we had. I still believe that 2013 and even 2009 LeBron are the 2 best overall versions if we're looking at the whole body of work. But for NBA Finals LeBron, especially after he went down 3-1, which I'm not going to put stock into him going down 3-1 because I'm not going to give you credit for falling down 3-1. But that being said, he averaged right here. So he averaged 29.7, 11.3, and 8.9 for the series with 4.9 stocks on 56.2 true shooting. And obviously 41 and 41 games 5 and 6, and then the triple I think it was 27-point triple double in game 7. So if we're talking Shaq and MJ were probably a little more dominant, but if we're talking about full body work, more well-rounded, I think that the LeBron 2016 was easily the next best option. So Matt,
just a little, I think also that completely saved his legacy.
Oh my God!
Like he was about to go another finals loss. That would have been 3 straight for him because he lost in 14, lost in 15. That would have been 16. Like that,
and it would have been him
for him.
Yeah, and it would have been him leaving. It would have been him leaving Cleveland to Miami to win 2 easy rings, which they weren't easy, but that would have been looked at. He tries to go back to Cleveland to give his home another ring, and that's 2 years in a row that he loses. He would have had a chance in 2017. I'm sure they would have tried to do their best, but it's exhausting. Like people severely underestimate what either their finals loss or even just a high expectations loss does to you. So 100. Yeah, love that point, Matt. But Matt Driscoll will be our 4th pick, and this pick to Matt Driscoll, I decided to be nice to him because I know the last couple drafts that we've had with him, he was very upset at the fact that that none of his picks were back to back. So You're welcome for that. But I wasn't going to give you the first pick just because you're still on punishment for not coming on the pod the 2 weeks for 3 and 4 weeks. Sorry, 2 and 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I've been slandered. I think this is the 4th week in a row that that has been brought up. My 2-week absence. John didn't get slandered for being late last week, but I digress. You guys took my first 3 picks. I think those 3 were the best. Were the 3 best finals performances. You said LeBron, maybe not the best numbers of his career, but the best if you bring in overall like narratives and stuff like that. My 4th pick, putting my bias aside here, I'm swallowing my pride, and I'm taking 2021 Giannis Antetokounmpo. He averaged 35.2, 13.2 rebounds, 5 assists, 1.8 blocks, 1.2 steals on 62% shooting. He's the first player in NBA history to average at least 30 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists on 60% shooting. He had a 50-point game in Game 6, which was the clinching game. He went 17 and 19 from the line, which is disgusting. But Giannis, he doesn't really foul bait. He does get fouled a lot, and he had the highest field goal percentage by a Finals MVP. So I get another pick now, which is, first time in pod history ever. I get back-to-back picks. Maybe next time I'll get the first pick, but I'm between like 3 guys here. It's tough because, you know what? I'm going to go with 2006 Dwayne Wade. Speaking of foul baiters, Dwayne Wade took a ton of free throws this series, but he had ridiculous numbers. 35 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, and a block. He went down 2-0, and then in the final 4 games, he averaged 39.9, 8.3 rebounds, 3.5 assists, 2.5 steals, and 14.5 makes from the free throw line. He came back from 2-0. He had 2 40-point games in the last 4 games of the series. And it's one of the most impressive finals series of all time at just 24 years old.
16 free throw attempts per game, by the way.
Yeah, disgusting.
That was a lot of free throws. They couldn't guard him, though.
Yeah,
They could not.
they couldn't.
I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't expecting him to be on the board when I picked. I'm not saying it's wrong that none of the first 5 picks didn't get this guy, just because there is definitely an argument for him not being top 5. But however, I don't know if Dad's watching this live. I don't think he is. But when he watches this again, I don't want him to have a heart attack too early. So with my second pick and the 6th overall pick, I would be taking 1984 Larry Bird. I do not think that, similar to LeBron. Let's go, Matt. Similar to LeBron in 2016, I do not think that Bird in 84 was the best. Was at his best. I think 86 he was at his best. You could argue that 86 was better in the finals, but I do think if you factor in efficiency and narrative, the Celtics were playing the Lakers. Obviously, it was it was the first time that like Bird and Magic were like at their peaks going up against each other. So Bird averaged 27.4, 14 rebounds, only about 3 assists per game with 3 stocks though, on 59.5 true shooting. Just put away Magic in the Showtime Lakers. It was the very beginning of a rivalry. Showtime Lakers ended up winning that rivalry, especially towards the back end of their careers. But I think I don't think I'm revising history when I say, granted I wasn't alive for this, but I think like a very good chunk of basketball historians would tell you, even though Magic had the better career, if you talk about who was better at their best, Larry Bird was the better player at their best, especially earlier. So John, you have the next pick.
Yeah, I feel like we could all say this for all of our picks. There's like 3 guys that you could argue for each pick, but with my pick, I'm going to go with 1995 Hakeem Olajuwon.
Great one.
32.8 points per game. I'm reading this off right now. 5.5 assists, 11.5 rebounds per game, and 4 stocks. I believe he packed up the Magic in 4. So just utter domination that year from him. I believe Shaq was. I don't know what year Shaq was in there, but Hakeem Olajuwon, one of the best performances in finals history. Stats back it up.
He did play Shaq that series.
Yeah, I think it was his second year.
Second year. Baby Shaq.
Does that mean I have 2 straight right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you
Yes,
got
sir.
the first pick. I don't know what that was about, but
Wow, this is awesome. So actually, the 2 guys that I wanted fell to me, which is great. So first, I will be taking 2017 KD.
yeah, I was debating on taking him.
2017 KD averaged 35 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, a steal, and 2 blocks. He just, in my opinion, completely outperformed LeBron. He proved all the haters wrong that hated that he went to the Warriors, proved that he was the main guy. He had multiple tough, like really clutch shots in games 3 and 5 to kind of make sure the series didn't get out of hand. And he just took care of business when he had to take care of business, even though everyone was doubting him. He was at that time, I remember, like, I would turn on SportsCenter, it'd be like, who's the better player, LeBron or KD? And it was pretty much consensus KD, even after LeBron had just had that ridiculous all-time finals performance the year prior and was playing well that series too. But the things he was doing were just incredible. And then with my next one, I will be taking 2003 Tim Duncan.
Ooh.
Just an absolute monster. This was probably Tim at the peak of his powers. This series, he averaged 24 points, 17 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal, 5 blocks per game. In game 1, he almost had a 5-by-5. And then in game 6, to like put the series away, he almost had a triple-double of blocks. He ended up with 8 blocks. Apparently 2 of them were a little bit controversial. He just, again, he was just proving a lot of things. He proved that he was worthy of that MVP. He was the best player in the world in that year.
You have no idea how good Tim Duncan was. Oh my!
Literally, shout out OG because he's right.
Oh,
That is 24, 17, and 5 blocks is peak center.
Ridiculous.
He is a center.
Yeah. That's a Tim Duncan is a center. Yeah, I started that movement, by the way, just so you know.
Okay, I am going to. All right, yeah, I'm going to go with a out of left field pick, maybe. Maybe not that out of left field, but I think you could argue that there might be guys ahead of him on this. But I think it just goes unnoticed. But I'm going to pick 1983 Moses Malone.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
He averaged 25.8, 18 rebounds, and 2 assists against Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And in game 4, he grabbed 23 rebounds to Kareem's 7. Absolutely dominated him on the glass, and just such an impactful series. And, you know, I always like giving guys like, especially Moses Malone, shout out because I feel like he flies under the radar. Much better Malone than the other guy we won't mention on this podcast. As a person, not a player.
Yeah. Off the court issues aside.
Is that back-to-back weeks?
I believe it is. Yeah, it might be back to. Yeah. We've talked about Josh Giddey as well, so it's. Yeah, a lot of back-end comments to not so great people here. Okay, so with my third pick, and I believe this is the 11th overall pick. This is getting tough, man. I don't know. Deciding between 2 guys. I'm not going to say who the other one is, but and I know that his reputation has taken a hit the past few weeks, given it because he didn't really play much competition. But I'm going to go with 2023 Jokic. People say, "Oh, he hasn't played too much competition." I think that's nonsense. At the end of the day, he did have to face LeBron and KD. I know they're aging, but they are the two of the best players of the generation. And then just absolutely pure dominance throughout the playoffs. And in the finals, I have it right here: 30 points, 14 boards, 7 assists, 2.2 stocks, and 67.2 true shooting, which is insane for someone who's like the first option on a team. this is a guy who I think is the best scorer in the league. He's top 3 probably it might be one of the best rebounders in the league, one of the 2 or 3 best passers in the league. And is that an elite efficiency? Oh, but he's bad at defense. He's not bad at defense. He's at worst slightly below average. And I know that he didn't play great in the Wolves series, but he was in reality he was the one that was holding them together. And in my opinion, absolutely deserves his flowers. And I still believe he's the best player in the league.
All right, so that brings it to me.
Yes, sir.
All right, I just want to say shout out Patrick Bolello and Jack LaSalle in the comments
That's right.
section.
I didn't see Jack.
Keep it active. Keep it active.
Shout out Jack, yeah.
So I have 2 picks here, which is awesome. I am gonna go with 1987 Magic Johnson.
Great pick.
Yeah, Magic Johnson, 1987, averaged 26.2, 8 boards, and 13 assists. He did it on 54% shooting from the field, 50 from 3, and 96% from the line. Purely dominant performance. It's the most assists from a Finals MVP of all time. And my second pick is going to be – I have a couple of recent picks, but 2019 Kawhi led the Raptors to the first and only finals in franchise history. He averaged 28.5, 9.8, and 4.2, along with 2 steals and 1.2 blocks. He was a little inefficient, but it's the playoffs. It's going to happen. He was 43%, 36 from 3, and 91 from the line. He was there for a year, and people argue that he's the greatest Raptor in Raptors history. It's great what he did for that franchise, and obviously crazy playoff run, but great finals as well.
Awesome pick. Tough one for me. Not really too tough because I did pick Jokic, and then it was between Jokic and this other guy. And I can't imagine that either any of these guys we're going to pick, except for maybe Matt McCann. I am going to, however, go with 1962 Bill Russell. Rest in peace. He's not like your regular all-time grade. He's hands down the worst scorer of anyone in like the top 20s area, but also hands down the best defender, and that includes Hakeem Duncan. So for the series, he averaged 22 points, 27 rebounds, 5.7 assists, which is great for a big man at the time, while anchoring one of the best defenses of all time, of course, and also very efficient, 60.1 true shooting percentage. So, and that does not factor in all the intangibles. So just one of the best leaders of all time, and 1962 Bill Russell is one of the best players that we've ever seen.
Yeah, Chris, you totally took that pick. I had 66 Bill Russell. So
okay, yeah, that was good. Yeah, I was there was 11 options. So yeah, I had a tough time deciding which one, but
they also didn't count blocks back then, so you gotta
they did not yet
count for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, so it's to me with my final pick. There are a couple here that I could go with. I'm kind of between 2. I'm going to go with 1977. Rest in peace, Bill Walton.
Yes.
He averaged 18.5 points, 19 rebounds, and 5.2 assists in 6 games of the 77 finals. I guess there might have been one or 2 other guys I could have went with, but hell of a performance from Bill. Rest in peace. We love Bill Walton.
And that game was actually on. That game was on the other day, so that was on Sunday. Dad was watching that on Sunday, so fantastic pick there.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. It was on in the living room, and he really crazy closeout game from him. I think he had 21 and 20 and like 8 blocks or something like that.
Yeah,
which is insane.
All right, is this the last pick of the draft?
Yes, it is.
Oh man, now I actually have to make a decision. Okay, I will be going with although it hurts to say.
No.
Also rest in peace, 2010 Kobe
Oh,
Bryant.
okay.
What did you think I was going with, Chris?
Curry.
Oh
Steph.
God, no.
What, to be fair, actually,
Really good game
actually, yeah, like, and John and Matt don't align with me on this, but 2010 Kobe hurt me significantly more than 2022 Steph did. I was in this bedroom. I was
crying.
So yes, no, I was in this bedroom. The bed was this way. The TV is where I'd be facing right now. The TV's over there now, but I remember it vividly. I was watching the game, and just like once Derek Fisher won the jump ball against Kevin Garnett, I turned off the TV and it was like easily one of the worst sports moments of my life. Yeah. Oh, so
when Ron Artest hit that three. Oh man. Anyways,
no,
horrible series, but for Kobe, really, really good. I mean, you could argue 09. He had slightly better counting stats. But I just think this was his revenge against the Celtics. It just like kind of capped off like the 2000s rivalry. It was pretty short-lived, but still 29 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. I mean, he was playing a Celtics team that was really, when barring injuries, was always the favorite for that stretch. Kendrick Perkins goes down, but I just think this, compared to his first three-peat, he had Shaq along with him, and then 09, I feel like some people argued that although the Magic team was really well constructed, they kind of took care of business so easily that it looked like it was kind of just hard, like easier competition than the Celtics, and this just completely shut everybody up. He was able to get it done in the big moment. 29 points on a pace where they were scoring like 80 points a game is really, really impressive too. So
Off the court issues aside again.
Jesus Christ, guys, come on, we gotta stop doing this. Cool. So yeah, when I was making this list, yeah, I actually did have 2009 over 2010, mainly just because yeah, as great as Kobe was in 2010, I do, and like it shut off a lot of narratives. I do think that 2009 he was more of a clear cut like alpha dog there. He was still an alpha dog in 2010, but 2009 he just like the Magic were kind of afraid of Kobe. So that's what I saw there, and also at the end of the day, Kobe went 6 for 24 in the in game 7 of the finals. So that so like that kind of notched him down a few spots for me. But yeah, definitely not our whole pick though. But what is a podcast draft without mentioning a few honorable mentions? So I think each of us is going to give at least one. We don't have to do a snake draft for this. I'll just go first. But one that comes to mind actually is 1990 Isaiah Thomas. He's someone who I've moved him down a few spots, like what I did before. I had him at 22, moved him down a few spots mainly just because his regular season stats really don't do it for me. Some of the advanced stats aren't really on his side either. But that being said, he's the pure definition of the not everything shows up in the stat sheet. Just one of the best leaders in the 1980s and the backbone of the bad boy Pistons, despite not being the best defender, which is what their identity was around. He was the one that was making sure their offense was at least average.
I'm going to give one honorable mention that did not win Finals MVP.
Okay,
and that's 1980 Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
That's a great one.
33 points, 13 rebounds, 5 blocks a game. And I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say Magic wasn't deserving. I mean, I think it was like 21, 11, and 9, but probably one of the best performances by a non-Finals MVP.
He just didn't close. Yeah, he would have won if he closed it out. But yeah, like that's the only reason. But which I think is kind of a bogus reason, because it's not like it's not like they would have lost like without him. So I don't agree with that.
I think it was just that Magic had 42 and whatever, taking his spot that series. So they kind of a recency bias, but happens.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he was like 20 years old. He was the hot thing in the NBA.
Yeah, but you brought Kareem. Yeah, like I'll say the same one actually. 1971, he actually averaged 27, 18 and a half with 2.8 assists, and they didn't average blocks and steals then either. But I'm sure he had I don't have access to film from 1970s, but I'm sure he averaged probably at least 5 blocks per game then. And again, super efficient, 63.4 true shooting percentage. which I feel like I should have mentioned that at the beginning of the podcast. True shooting, by the way, is basically just points per attempt. Like it weighs all the weighs free throws, 2-pointers and 3-pointers all together. So that's what that means.
Matt, you can go for your next
All
one.
right, I have 2 honorable mentions. A couple old heads, both of them lost. So first, I got Jerry West, averaged 38 points, 5 rebounds, 7.5 assists. Was still Finals MVP. That's how good he played. And in Game 7, they lost by 2 points, and he had 42, 13, and 12 in that game. You got to feel bad for him. He eventually got it, but in the moment, I'm sure that one really, really hurt. And then the next one I have is another loser. Well, not actually, because he did end up winning. Rick Barry in 1967 averaged 41 points per game, tied with Jordan for the most. 8 rebounds, 3 assists. He scored 55 and then 2 separate 40-point games in the series. One caveat, though, early free throw merchant, 14 free throw attempts a game for Rick Barry. And with the underhand shot, I'm sure that was a lot of fun to watch. But, yeah, just 2 crazy great scorers way ahead of their time. They were never making this list, though.
Yeah, 2 good picks, 2 great honorable mentions. I also have 2. My first is 2011 Dirk.
Oh wow!
He wasn't too efficient, but I mean, again, it's the playoffs, it's the finals. One of the best playoff runs of all time. He played was the Lakers, the Thunder. I'm missing one, but also the Heat. I forget I'm blanking on the other team that he played, but 26, 9, 2, a steal and a block a game. Shot 98% from the line that series. Truly one of the best finals run of all time. Just total playoffs. And then my second honorable mention is 2024 Al Horford. I think that man is going to, or realistically, my actual second honorable mention is Joe Dumars. Our dad is actually he talked about Joe Dumars' performance before in the finals. He averaged 27.3, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 rebounds, 0.5 steals, and 0.5 blocks on 58% from the field.
That was
88 and 89.
89, right? Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. As long as you guys don't have any more honorable mentions, I have 2 more honorable mentions, which literally nobody would have thought of because they're both very unoriginal. So I think you'll know this. I think anyone who's a very loyal All-American Hooper follower will know who the second one is. But the first one, I'm actually going to go with someone who did not play. This is not an NBA Finals. This is an ABA Finals. Dr. J averaged 37.7 points per game, 14.2 boards, 5.3 assists, 3 stocks, and 66.1 true shooting percentage. People have their opinions on the ABA, but the reality of the situation is the ABA and the NBA were on par. You want to see the NBA was slightly better, that's fine, but half of the NBA All-Stars half of the NBA All-Stars in 1978 came from the ABA the year before. So I don't want to hear about how the ABA was the minor leagues at the time. They were nearly on par, and Dr. J was head and shoulders above everyone else. And this next guy, I could not leave. None of us could pick him. I tried to. I don't know if this was his best finals, but 1952. Matt, who'd I pick from 1952?
Is it Mikan?
I was going to say it's Mike, and I saw that earlier.
The first GOAT.
99.
He's not the first GOAT.
He's not the first GOAT, but I'm surprised Matt took Jordan over George Mikan with his first overall pick.
Joe Folks is the first GOAT, just so you know. So George Mikan averaged 21 points, 17 rebounds, and 2.4 assists on 44.9 true shooting percentages. So overall, extremely efficient series, and overall, okay, I actually want to pull up his basketball reference page really quick. Maybe if you guys want to talk about,
I have something to talk about.
Yeah, go. Yeah,
one honorable mention that I kind of just thought of in my head: 1981 Cedric Maxwell. For Boston Celtics, which I was curious. He won with decent stats, nothing crazy. And I was like, wow, like I always knew that Bird didn't play well in that finals, and he didn't for Bird standards, but he averaged 15, 15, and 7 with 2 steals a game. Like, what? I feel like that should have been enough to win Finals MVP. I don't know. I think that's, but that got to give Cedric Maxwell a shout out.
Cedric was the leader on that team. That's why he won it.
It's
He was
true.
the heart.
And we need Larry at the guard in this finals. I know we won't get it, but we need him there. I'll settle for KG and Paul Pierce next to each other.
And of course Donnie Wahlberg as well.
And Guy Fieri.
Guy Fieri, of course. Maybe Dustin Pedroia as well.
McLovin.
That's right. My computer is being very slow right now, so very unfortunate. But I just wanted to show you that I did not pick 1952 for a reason. The only reason I picked 1952 was because it was the only other year that they tracked assists. So, because. I do understand why people don't put George Mikan on their lists. I really do understand, but I do hope you understand.
In the playoffs that year, so it's good.
I don't know if he was.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick,
ahead,
shout out to Jack LaSalle for the Mets updates in the comments. I really appreciate it. We haven't fired up the game yet, but it's good. Lindor's been hitting the ball well.
MD always pulls the not efficient, but it's for the playoffs, and I love it.
That's awesome. Comment of the stream.
That's the first time I did that.
AAH, you should start that. You should do a comment of the stream.
That is definitely the comment of the stream.
That's definitely the comment of the stream. So, all right. That seems like a great place to end the show. Thank you to Jack and for Pat. I don't know if Pat's still watching, but for watching the show. Thanks to everyone else who tuned in. It's probably the most viewers that we've had in a while live. Hoping that we can get even more afterwards. But yeah, as I mentioned, I was really looking forward to the show, and it certainly lived up to the expectations. So very excited for that. Even more excited for the NBA Finals, which is now 2 days from now, a little bit over 48, about 50 hours from now. Literally at the edge of my seats. I cannot wait. Al, woo! Yeah. In addition to the flag that John won, that he showed us last week, that was the other prize that he won at Jenkinson's Boardwalk. So, we're all super, super pumped for the NBA Finals. Super pumped. I'm super nervous as well. Shows you how unhealthy our sports addictions are. But yeah, we're all super pumped. But as per usual, Celtics in 5. As per usual, John, Matt, thanks so much for coming on the show. McCann, thanks again for coming on. Hopefully you'll be back in 2 weeks, celebrating that victory. But for now, give a follow to all of my social media platforms. It's All American Hooper on most of them. I am changing my name, however, to Chris Driscoll NBA to show everything. But for now, everything still comes up as All American Hooper, as you can see on the platform down there on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Also, take a look at my column on primetimesportstalk.com. Follow Tony, aka Sports Fluence, on YouTube and on Instagram and TikTok. And lastly, as I mentioned last week, merch is officially up. The link is in my bio. I will be making another post about it soon. But yeah, again, thanks so much for tuning in, and I hope everyone has a great night.
Let's go Celtics.